Welcome all, Boone here from EWPRO, getting straight into the weekly outlook, looking at the DXY on the daily time frame. We have these three down in here, giving us that bullish divergence. Now we have a nice impulse up. So like I said last week, we're waiting for a correction in here, and then we can look to buy. Until we get that correction, there's really not much you can do. On the H4, we've got 5 up already. We got that like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. It hit the second target there, that 161.8. Now we're waiting for that larger correction. Once we get that larger correction, we can start to look for buys for at least A, B, C up. AU, we're in this wave 3. We're still in. We've got like 1, 2, 3. We're still in this wave 3. We may be starting a correction. I'm waiting for a time factor roughly around this size, and then I can start to look to see if we've got a complete correction, and then look for a buy setup to buy for that wave 5. So it looks to me like we are in this wave 4 at this stage, because it's very choppy up the top here. So the best thing to do is to wait for that time factor. Oh, not this time factor here. That was for wave 5 on the H4. But this one in here, this larger one here, I'll move this up to the top here. So on the H4, we got the 5 up, same as DXY. So we've got to wait for that larger correction, and then we can look for a buy. You can scalp in the middle here into this correction and that, but the safest way is to wait for the time factor and then look for the buy. Patience is the key in this game. GU, we're looking at this on the daily. We're looking at this like a B, and we get a C up here, and we have this like A, B, C in here, this flat, and then we have A, B, C here. So this should be just about complete by the look of it. Just waiting for a nice entry, and it didn't give us that entry. Unfortunately, it didn't give us that entry. So we do have the bullish divergence on the H4, but the problem was with this, we didn't really get a nice impulse up here. Got an impulse up in here and a flat. And we do have 3 up. Well, we got 1, 2, 3. So it was very difficult to get in this because it was so, well, this correction was so deep to this impulse here. Now, it really depends here. The only way I would trade it now is if we got a ball hidden in here. We don't have that yet. So I wouldn't be doing anything with this at this stage. Unless I got a ball hidden in here without breaking that low, well, then I might look to trade a wave 5 up, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other than that, if this does come down and break this low, well, then if it gives us a bearish correction in here, well, then we could look for a sell. Yeah, so there's really not much to do on here at this stage. It's really waiting for that time factor. EU, well, this is mainly on the weekly, but you've seen this, the A, a B, and a C got right up to that 100 fib. Over here, I'm looking at this this flat, like I've been looking at for a long time now. We got that A, some sort of a B and a C up, and then we've got an A, B, C. So I'm looking at this flat here, a possible flat. I'm just waiting for a buy setup. There's 2 scenarios here. This either goes from here, breaking the top, or we get another correction in here on the lower time frames, another one down, and then it could possibly go. Or the third alternative count would be if we got a correction in here, a larger correction, well, you'd look for a sell. We're really watching the price action on this. So on the H4, we got like 1, 2, 3, get a wave 4, and then wave 5 down. We do have a bear hidden in here forming. So, this may be there's no sell set up on it. That's the problem. So we're looking for a correction of similar size to this over here. Now that correction may start at this point here, and therefore would have the time factor. But the problem is there's no sell set up. It's very similar to GU. This was hard to get into the buy for this wave 4, like this 1, 2, 3, this wave 4. It's very hard to get in because the same as GU. We got a nice impulse up, but then a very deep correction before we got this wave 3 up. This is still looking bullish. If we do get a bull hidden in here, I'd look to buy. But yeah, other than that, if it does come down, break this low, gives us a bearish setup, well, then you could sell. I wouldn't be selling until this low here is broken at this stage. NU, I'll just look at this last bit here. This hasn't been playing very nicely. It's got an A, a B, and a C. It didn't quite get up to that 100 fib. There still is possibly more upside in this. We got like a 1, 2, 3. This correction here is turning out to be a lot larger than this one, but it still does, the price action suggests to me that this is still corrective, and we have like 1, 2, 3 down. It's not giving us a setup to buy. That's the problem. It's the same as GU and EU on the H1. It come from a low. It gave us that deep flat in here, and it's just given us 1, 2, 3 up. So, and again, we don't have any bull hidden in here. So there's really not much, you're better off to stay out of the market if it's not giving you, the signs of more upside. Because if you just try and get into a buy in here on the lower time frames at this stage, it could just give you 3 up and then come down and break this low. And then if this low gets broken, like I mentioned on the other 2 pairs, we'll be looking for a sell. So yeah, it's very difficult at this stage. GY, excuse me. So we got this WXY. Just about got up to that 161.8. Now I'm looking for that X2 and then a Z up. So I am looking for sells. We do have a nice impulse from the top here. We have a nice impulse from the top going down. We did have 3 up in here with bearish divergence. But again, it gave us a sell setup. We were looking for a sell in here on the lower time frames. It did give us 3 down. So no harm done. But now it's looking like we'll get another one up. This can keep on doing this and just break that top and give us some sort of a running flat or expanding flat for an A, B, C. That daily correction that we're looking for in that X2. So again, it's not giving us sell setups for this C down yet. It's more bullish. You could buy this. We have like 3 down in here on the H1. We got a nice impulse up. So if you got some sort of a 3 down in here, a correction, you could look to buy just to, it's really just scalping to break the tops. Yeah. UI, pretty much untradeable, like I've been saying for a very long time. we've got that 1, 2, 3. I'm waiting for this time factor in the wave 4, and then we can trade that wave 5 up. Well, it's already gone up and broken the top a couple of times now. I was looking at a flat in here, and gone up, and it has broken the top. So it possibly is the wave 5. Or more than likely it is. It's very similar to the others. We have that impulse. This is the most corrective wave. I mentioned this last week. So this can be a flat. If we get a flat in here, well, then you could look for it like an A, B, C. And all this turns more complex, like I mentioned last week. Nothing's changed since last week, pretty much. We're looking at this, possible 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a 3-3-5 or 3-3-3. We're looking for that larger correction. We're at the end of the wave 3 on the daily. So, looking at all this as corrective, and it was looking good there for last week. Yesterday, we had a nice impulse down from the top. Here, we had that nice impulse down, but it's gone straight back up. So there's nothing we can do. I mean, you can only scalp this now. If you got a bullish correction, you could look for a buy. If you got impulse down, a bearish correction, you could sell. It's scalping, because then you get an A, B, C. It could turn quite complex. A, B, C. There's so many different structures this could turn into now, because we have an impulse and an impulse. We have an impulse and an impulse. We may get an impulse down here and then the correction. So it's really watching the price action, and it's just scalping. CAD, we did get the 5 down here. Eventually, we got that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That we got that Z down. Again, this is looking very corrective down the bottom here. So it's very difficult to trade. I mean, we were looking for this, this flat here. I've been looking at this. If you go back through my videos, we were looking at this A, a B, and we got that C down. And then looking for an A, a B, and a C. It's just about completed. You could look for a buy still, but it's risky. I mean, we got a nice impulse up here. We got an A, a B. This is very choppy, so I'd be looking at this as a B. If we got a C down here and a flat, well, then you could, go down onto the lower time frames, look for a buy setup and buy just to go and break the tops. And that's about it. So again, it's just scalping. The Swissy, on the weekly, we got that A, B, C, and we got that running triangle in the middle here. We bounced clean off that 100 fib. This has been quite choppy again. It looks more corrective than anything. If you've been following me for a while, we've been waiting for this time factor here. For like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get a 5th wave down here before it goes. So again, you can see how choppy this is. There has been buy setups and that to buy this, but it hasn't really been going, because it's obviously corrective. So now, I mean, there's really not much we can do with this one either. It's just about hit that time factor, but there is no sell on it. So if I quickly go down to the M15, we never got a lower low. If we had got a lower low there and then a correction, it would have made it very easy for us to sell. But that hasn't happened. This has given us 3 down in here now. So it's more of a buy. But a buy, when I say buy, the buy may not break this top. It may just be an A, B, C in here, and then give us another one down. So, it's extremely risky. It hadn't given us that sell setup. That's the problem. Well, it did give us a sell setup for this on the lower time frames here. After that impulse there, you can see this correction in here, and it did go down and break the low. So it's already played out the trade, and it's come back up. You're definitely not in that trade now. It's either hit your stop or you took some profit at the bottom here. Well, when this low got broken. Now it's more of a buy on the lower time frames. It's just scalping again. We got an impulse up. If you got some sort of a 3 down here, you could scalp just an A, B, C, and that's it. If you're lucky, it takes off, but more than likely it'll just be an A, B, C, and then possibly more downside. But yeah, EG on the daily, we got those 5 up, like I've mentioned. We got this A, B, C. Then we had this flat in here, and I'm still am looking at this flat. On the H4, we got this impulse up. We got this A, B, and a C. And like I've been saying, until that low is broken, and I'll just double check to see if it's been broken. It may have actually been broken. Excuse me. May have actually been broken here, and it has. It has been broken, the low. So this is a correction. Yeah, because I was looking at expanding flat, and if it's expanding flat, it can't come and break that low uh, for a B wave or a wave two. So, I mean, yeah, so that's awkward because it's broken that low. So this can't be a flat like I was looking at it. Because I've been saying, this has been coming down and down and down. If it breaks this low, well, that negates this. Um, you know, but looking at the H1, you could buy this. Even though this flat hadn't played out or whatever, just from the price action, we do have bullish divergence here, and we have a nice impulse up. So if you got a bullish setup, you could definitely look for a buy for at least 3 up. WTI, nothing's changed on this. I mean, since last recording, we got an A, a B, and a C. This wave C went way. I was just looking for it up to that 100 fib, and it really took off. Geopolitics, world news. But nothing's changed here on the H4 on that. We're looking for this correction after we got this and a deep an impulse down. Well, then I'm looking for a correction. This may or may not go and break that top, like this correction. And then I'd be looking for a 3 down before more upside. I think it's a H1 where we got H1, we got that bull hidden there. Got that bull hidden. So either this goes and breaks the top, like I just mentioned, or it becomes very deep to this wave. So yeah. As for trading it, I mean, you're trading it in a B wave, and as you can see, we're getting some sort of a range here. More than likely the range will break out to the upside, and we get some sort of an A, B, C in here. Whether it goes and breaks to the top or not, like I've mentioned, it's anyone's guess at this stage. We do have that ball hidden, so it is highly likely that it will. But it's in a correction. It'll break the top in a correction. So if it does, we'll get a running or an expanding flat here. So you just got to be mindful if you are trading this. You're looking for buys in here in a correction, which is dangerous trading in a correction, because that's where that's where you lose your money. That's where traders lose their money, is trading in corrections. And that's what I teach, to try and not to do that. But yeah. Gold, we got 5 up here. We're just waiting for a larger correction now. There's more upside in this. I've got no doubt in my mind because we have a bull hidden here on the daily. Even now on the daily, we have bull hidden. So how far this comes down, well, as long as it doesn't break this low over here, we're still going to get more upside to break the top. I've been looking at this flat here. Excuse me. We got a nice impulse down from the top. We got like an A, B, C. So I'm looking for an A, a B, and a C in here, a flat, before we get A, B, C. And then possibly go and break that top with that ball hidden. So I am looking for a buy, but again, like last week, it hasn't been giving us a buy. I'm actually waiting for 1, 2, 3. I'm waiting for a wave 4 and then a possible wave 5 down, and we haven't even started that wave 4 yet. So yeah, there's not real much you can do. I mean, you'd be scalping, like I would be scalping buys, but only if I got nice setups. Because M15 we got bullish divergence, but I mean, I can't go into how I trade and the setups, unfortunately. So yeah, if you want to know more, you really got to join the group, and then you'll get everything. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Is I mean, silver's the same as well. We got an impulse down from the bottom. Ever since we had this, well, even up to here, I've been saying, we're waiting for a B wave. We are getting the B wave now, but the B wave hasn't completed. So again, I've been looking at this flat, very similar to gold, and it just hasn't been going. Again, I'm looking at that A, B, a C in here, and then you get an A, B, C before you get that larger A, B, C. So nothing's changed. I'd be looking for buys, but there simply isn't any buy setups on it. Bitcoin, this is getting quite interesting. I mean, this is looking very bearish in here. Like, it's looking very bearish in here, just like it was looking very bearish there. We're looking for this sell here, for that. That's already happened, and clicked the wrong one. But you can see how choppy and corrective this looks. So uh, it can go either way. At this stage, this could be a flat here, a running flat to go up and break this top, or it could be a sell. We've got to wait for the price action. If this turns out to be corrective here, we got a nice impulse down. If we get a correction in here, you can definitely look for a sell. And if you get the sell, I'd be looking to break the low, break this low over here, and that would be all the correction. We have all the bearish divergence, everything's lining up. We got all the bearish divergence and everything. We have a nice impulse down. We just don't have the price action. If you are going to sell this, we need to wait for that price action and a nice correct. It's got to look corrective. If it doesn't, this can be a flat, like an A. This is quite choppy, breaking the top. B, a C down, and it's a running flat, and it goes up and breaks the top. So yeah, there's two scenarios here. On the lower time frame, it is very much bullish. Well, if you look at the price action here, you got a little flat in here, like A, B, C, and then you got an A, a B, and a C in here, a little flat, and then you got what A, B, C, impulse down. So this can be a flat. What I'm getting at is this here can be an expanding flat here, and you get an A, a B, and a C. this is looking rather bullish in here. You could just scalp it just to break the top. Extremely risky. But if you're looking for the buy for that larger flat, like I was saying, you'd want to be trying to get in here because this is your first opportunity to get into that. So if you are looking for the buy, this is the time to buy, and you'd want to get it to break even as soon as possible. As soon as that top's broken, you'd want to be at break even. As for the sell, like I mentioned, we need more correction here. More than likely, we'll get more correction before we get downside. And like I mentioned, that may go and break the low, that I showed. So yeah, it's really scalping at this stage, and if you're lucky, if you get the buy set up, it takes off and goes and breaks the top. With that flat that I showed. S&P 500, I'm going to be very quick here. We got the 5 up on the weekly. It got to our second target, that 161.8. I'll quickly go to the weekly, but yeah, so you can see it. So we got the 5 up here. We got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to the second target. There is more upside in this, but we can get a large correction here. This is the impulse, so we can get a 50 fib retrace here before we get more upside. So I dare say it's going to be quite choppy, longer term, and it has been very difficult to get into a sell here. As I've been saying, this is this has been very difficult. It's so choppy on the sell here. You'd be getting cut to pieces. It can be an A, a B, and a C here, a flat as well. And we get more upside in here to finish off this wave 5. But when we go down to this H4, you can see why it's been very difficult to sell and buy. It's just been scalping. Like I remember in here, we were looking for this sell here. We had that impulse. I'm getting 3 down in here. So there has been sell setups, but if you didn't take your profit, it'd come back, take you out at break even. Gets you into a trade, comes back, takes you out at break even, or you get a little profit. It's the same. It's been very choppy, so very difficult to trade. Extremely difficult to trade. So at this stage, I would be leaving it alone. There's no buy or there's no sell on it. Like the H4, we're getting bullish divergence in here, so there's still possibly more downside in it, but we're starting to get that bullish divergence, so it's very risky to sell. And there is no buy setup, so when this happens, I just leave it. I don't trade it. AU200, we got the C up, like I've been mentioning. We got that A, a B, and this was a choppy C up, but it did complete and go and break that top. Now we got a nice impulse down, so like I said last week, nothing's changed. Wait for a correction, and we look for a sell. We got to wait for this correction. You could look for buys into this correction when it's ready, but it's just scalping because you're scalping buying into a possible correction. H4 is the same. It's just an impulse down. I mean, I think I was looking for a flat here. Well, we had this impulse up in here, and I was looking for 3 down in here, and then a possible flat before it gives us more downside. But it didn't. So, it's more 1, 2, 3 now, and you get a 4 and a 5. So we got to wait for a correction. The safest way is to wait for a correction. I wouldn't be looking for sells. You missed the sell, Well, it didn't really give us a sell, unless you're looking for this, like that A, B, C, like I mentioned last week. We're looking for a 3 down in here, and then we get an A, a B, and a C. And if you did take that sell, well, you got lucky and you got a little bit more downside than I thought that we may have got, you know. There's nothing to trade here, you know. There's nothing. The footsie again, you know, more than likely there's more upside to this. We're getting an impulse down, so you know we get a correction, another impulse down. We're already, you know, we'll more than likely get a ball hidden on this and go up and break the top. So, but we need 3 down. See, we were looking for this buy in here. We got a buy, but it didn't even break that top. So, you know, it was like 1, 2. We're in a wave 3, then you get a wave 4, and then you trade a wave 5 down at this stage. So I'm not really going to go into it much more than that. You know, there's nothing really on it. Then we had the DAX. Well, we were looking for this sell up in here. This one completed it early. You know, we had that ball hidden in here. So we were always looking for this to go up and break that top after we had that, you know, the end of the world was happening, you know, if you were looking at the news, you know, big crash, but, you know, to the trained eye, we had that ball hidden and that played out, broke the top. Then we got this correction here. Flat. We got 3 up. We got the bearish divergence. We got an impulse down now. So, you know, pretty much wait for another correction and sell. This we're looking at like a 1, 2, 3, get a wave 4 and a wave 5 down. Well, it looks like that there was some sort of a correction in here, like some sort of an A, B, C, a very messy correction. But we are starting to get bullish divergence there now. There is no buy set up on it on the lower time frames. And again, I wouldn't be looking for sells. The sells are too late. The sells are gone. You know, we're getting that bullish divergence there, so it becomes risky to sell. So I hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook. If you did, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.